The nations surrounded me. They swarmed around me like bees.
My friends, if Israel's enemies today have their way, the results could impact even more than the Holocaust.
Ahmadinejad has repeatedly said
Israel's enemies are arming and preparing for battle. As their weapons grow more powerful each day, let your support for Israel be felt. Right now, you can join a petition that will be sent to world leaders, telling them to stand strongly with Israel against its enemies.
People say to me, what can I do to help Israel and the Jewish people? There is something you can do. You can go to your phone and tell us that you will stand with Israel to enable it to be secure and to survive.
The truth, the headlines, the Blaze.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Amy Holmes, and these are the stories we're currently following at theblaze.com. A fresh green jobs headache for President Obama as his administration approves a massive loan to a company with high-profile connections. The renewable energy developer Solar Reserve was recently promised a $737 million loan from the Department of Energy to build a solar thermal project in Nevada. The company lists on its website as one of its investment partners, PCG, Clean Energy and Technology Fund. Well, this green investment firm employs executive Ronald Pelosi, a San Francisco political insider who happens to be the brother-in-law of Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. We'll keep you posted on this story as it develops. Senior White House advisor Valerie Jarrett, who is under fire for her deepening role in the unfolding Solyndra scandal, she's advocating for a considerably more muscular federal government. In a recent address to a D.C. Episcopal Church organization, Ms. Jarrett had this to say about the role of government in people's lives.
He has a vision for our country, and I think his American Jobs Act sent a very positive signal about what we could do instantly to create some jobs, because we know that's the backbone of our community. We have to give people a livelihood so that they can provide for their families, and making sure that we are creating a country that's a country for everybody, not just for the very, very wealthy, but that we're working hard to lift people up out of poverty and give them a better life and a footing, and that's what government is supposed to do.
I'm Amy Holmes, and these are just some of the stories we're following from the Blaze newsroom.
Maybe it's just me. I don't think that's what government is supposed to do. But then again, it's Valerie Jarrett. You can walk away from this program tonight, and you can walk away and you have a myriad of choices. You could be frightened. You could be overwhelmed. You could just watch it and say, boy, honey, come here, you got to see this, and then do nothing. Or you can be part of a solution. The first part of a solution is to end political correctness. We must not be afraid. I'm going to be in Chicago this weekend. I'm giving a speech in Chicago, not at his but Tahrir, but with a group of activists, grassroots activists, that have had enough. And my message to them will be the same message that I give you tonight. Enough is enough. Have no fear anymore. You know who you are. Evil is spreading, and we must end it. But how do we end it? Well, there's several ways. Here's one. End political correctness. Sticks and stones will break your bones. Names will never hurt you. Union mob members, they'll hurt you, and they'll break your bones. But names will never hurt you. You know who you are. Don't care anymore what they call you. And it's also time, too, to put your money where your heart is. Not where your mouth is, but where your heart is. There are very few places that are fighting to stop this because, well, honestly, I had a friend call me last night who will remain nameless, and he spoke out on a subject. The McCarthy era is here, gang. I talked to him yesterday around noon. He said, Glenn, I'm going to lose my job. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my professorship just because I said what I believed. And it's true, isn't it? And I said, yes, it is. He said, I'm going to lose my job. My wife doesn't understand. And I said, you know what? When I first started to speak out, I don't know if my wife really understood. If you happen to see and you don't say something, well, what help is that? If you happen to see people who are struggling, we need to start putting our money where our heart is. We need to support them together. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser was mentioned earlier today. He's the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. He's an incredible man. I've known him for years now. He is a Muslim who is standing up fearlessly. Irshad Manji is the director of the Moral Courage Project at the Robert F. Wagner Graduate School of Public Service at NYU. Irshad is a woman that I met when I was over at CNN. This is really before I was very brave, and I said, it's most likely not going to end well for you. She said, I know. I said, why would you do it? Her response was, because somebody has to. Frank Gaffney, Center for Security Policy, the executive director of the Investigative Project on Terrorism, one of the world's largest storehouses of archival data and intelligence on the Islamic and Middle Eastern terrorist groups. Another man who I think is remarkable is David Horowitz. This is the Freedom Center or the Freedom Center. David Horowitz and his group have been speaking out for so long. I invite you to go to all of these websites and see if you think they're worthy of service. If they're worthy of service, I would ask that you would donate. PalWatch is another website. P-A-L Watch. I think it's is it palwatch.org? All of these sites and all of these people are going to be listed at glennbeck.com. A gentleman that was mentioned earlier was Steve Emerson, a remarkable man. He was popular on the national news for about a month. Yeah, I believe it was late September 2001. Everybody rejected him, said he was a hate monger, didn't want to listen to what he had to say before September 11th, 2001, but he was warning. He was standing fast and standing firm. September 11th happened, and all of a sudden he couldn't keep up with all the requests to be on television. But then CARE and others started to target him. Now you rarely see Steve Emerson on television. I think he's a man of decency and a man who's been standing for a very long time, just trying to speak the truth. Look him up if you have the time or inclination or the money. Help him. There's another group, Memory. What I am telling you, what is happening in Israel, is headed here. If you don't want the bombings in the streets, the lies about the border, you need to stand with people like Memory. I will tell you that I have a new friend. He's the head of Memory. He was in my office, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. He came in to help me with some things that we were working on. He lives in Israel now. He's a guy who was on the plane coming back from America to Israel. He was in the intelligence service, and he had just given a speech. I believe it was at the Pentagon. And he had just said, you've got to look out because terrorism is coming your way. And he was pretty much dismissed by some people in the room. He got back onto a plane, and he was flying back. By the time he landed in Israel, the First World Trade Center bombing had happened. Here's a man who served his whole life trying to stop craziness. He has an organization called Memory, M-E-M-R-I. Check it out at memory.org. He was in my office, and he was asking me how he could help, but I sensed that something was wrong. He wouldn't tell me. I found out later that some of the challenges that he is facing, and there are many, many challenges to tell the truth in the Middle East. He's a guy who puts people all over the world trying to find the words of extremists and translate them and put them on video so people can see what they're saying in their own words. Igal is a guy who helped us with the first special we ever did on Islamic extremism over at CNN. His work is invaluable. I would ask that if you have the inclination, if you have the money, to please help MEMRI, MEMRI.org, MEMRI. What's coming? Well, I have the same feeling that I had in 1999 when I said trouble. If you don't pay attention to their words and take them seriously. It's the same feeling that I've had not just about Islamic extremists, but by what's happening now on Wall Street. Radicals, Islamists, communists, and socialists will work together against Israel. Would you agree that's happened now? They will work together against capitalism. You've seen it tonight. You've seen it on Wall Street, and you've seen it over in the Middle East and now in Chicago. We'll work together to overturn stability. That's what they talk about when they talk about create a crisis and chaos. Part two is the protests will become contagious. Has that happened yet? Has it spread all around the Middle East? I wrote this January 31st, 2011. They will then cascade the protests. We've seen them. They jumped from Egypt to Wisconsin. Now they're going to be in New York, Washington, D.C., California, also San Francisco, among others. They will sweep the Middle East. They've already done that. Destabilize Europe and the world. You see what's happening in Greece? It's happening. It doesn't seem important to many Americans, but it's coming. It's coming our way, and we can't ignore it. America has never succeeded, however, because we were against something. It's not enough to be against radicalized Islam. We weren't against the Nazis as much as we were for freedom. I ask you to get involved and decide what it is truly you believe, and then stand with those people. Your local 912 Project, grassroots organizations, and soon, Mercury One. This network is not about TV. It's not about entertainment. It's not about being against something. It's a creative force. It's about being a positive force for good and finding those who are doing the right thing and then connecting people who are doing the right thing with other people who are doing the right thing. To show people who are trying, to show people that you're not alone, and to demonstrate to those people who are not watching the show, like those at MEMRI tonight, that they are not alone, no matter how long they've toiled feeling alone. This network will be a failure if you don't act. This GBTV is not a noun, it's a verb. Actions speak louder than words. Their words are very loud. They're either in the Middle East or in Chicago, like you saw tonight, or in Wall Street. Their actions and their voices are very, very loud, and their actions are becoming louder and louder in country after country. They mean it. The question is, do we believe them? And do we mean what we say? So far, most people in America have spoken words, and then we assume that someone else will take action for us. But no one will. It is up to us to find the action that is peaceful and then take that action. It is up to us to connect to those who have good in their hearts and malice towards none, to quote Abraham Lincoln. Let us go forth and be people of fewer words and more action. Live by this one simple rule: by their fruits ye shall know them. I know their fruits. Let us begin to show them ours, and let the world make a choice. Stand with hatred or stand with love. Believe me, we will be in the streets as well, but not with signs, but in solidarity. Soon it's coming. Stop the hate. Stop the hate with the only thing that can stop hate: love. From New York, good night, America.